come and study with Tanzania Institute of Education.
Hello. It's another day, another time. We are again together in our lovely subject, and that is mathematics. Before we continue, I believe that you have all the requirements with you there. That means you have a notebook, you have a pen, a pencil, and everything which is required in mathematics. And to be together, don't move wherever you are, at least for the time when we are together here. To guide you or lead you in our discussion, I'm your teacher, Pascal Titus Majebere. In our today's lesson or subject, we shall discuss, we still continue with the solving of quadratic equations by factorization. We are still on the method of solving quadratic equations by factorization. In our previous lesson, we saw a different way in which this quadratic equation can be written. For example, we saw when the coefficients of the terms are positive. And when we saw when the constant term is not written. That is, we saw, for example, we had 2x squared plus 3x plus 4, that is equal to 0. We saw how when a quadratic equation is written in that form can be solved. But also we saw if the constant term is not there, that is 2x squared plus 3x is equal to 0. There is also its way of factorizing this type. But today we shall have the look on the following things. One, when the coefficients of the terms, is negative. Another thing which we shall discuss today is solving quadratic equations by using the concept of difference of two squares. Difference of two squares. And lastly, the quadratic equations whose factorization leads us to the perfect square. The perfect square. Perfect square. Solving perfect square quadratic equations. To start with, let us start with the quadratic equations whose coefficients is negative. We say equations with negative coefficients. Equations with negative coefficients. Negative coefficients. Let me lab this one here. It was just the introduction. Equations with the negative coefficients. Consider the following example here. We have an example here. Call it example number 1. Let us discuss together this example here. Solve the equation. Solve the equation 12x squared minus 22, 12x squared minus 22x plus 8. Plus 8. That is equal to 0. That is the coefficient whose middle term has got a negative coefficient. You know, I mean, it's an equation whose middle term has the negative coefficients. I think you remember what are the coefficients. Coefficients are these numbers which are written here. And this is the constant term. As it is for the previous, you write here solution. Now, you need two numbers. We solve by splitting the middle term. We need two numbers whose sum will give us the coefficient of the middle term and whose product will give us the product of this and this. That means from the equation 12x squared minus 22x plus 8 is equal to 0, we need two numbers whose sum is what? Coefficient of the middle term, negative 22. negative 22. And whose product? You multiply the coefficient of this one here and the constant term. How much is that? Can you do it for me? 12 times 8. 8 and 2, 36. You call 1. 8 and 1, 8. 8 times 1, it is 8. Plus 1, that is 96. How do you get those two numbers whose sum is negative 22 and whose product is 96? The shortcut of getting, or the most convenient way of getting the two numbers is to find the factors of the term of the number 96, the factors of this product. Look at this one here. 96 can be written as 1 times 96. 96 can be written as 2 times, divide this by 2, you got what? You got 4, and 1, you got 8. It can be written as 2 times 48. Is 96 divisible by 3? Yes, it means 96 can be written as 3 times, if I divide this by 3, you'll get here, it is 3, how much? 3, 2. Is it? Yes. Is 96 divisible by 4? Yes. It means 96 can also be written as 4 times, if I divide this by 4, you'll get here 2, 2 remaining 1, 4. What about by 5? No. By 6? Yes. The number 96 can be, 6 can divide 96 by 6, it is 1, and that is 16. What about 8? Is 96 divisible by 8? Yes. That is 8 times, if I divide this by 8, that will be 1, remaining, that is 12. 9 cannot divide, that's 1, 10, or 11. I think these are the numbers whose product is 96. But out of this one here, it is only one pair whose sum can give us 22. This cannot give us 22, regardless whether they are positive or negative. 2 and the 48, in whatever the case, cannot give us 22. 3 and 32, even by subtracting, by making one of which is a negative or both, cannot give us 22. The only pair which can give us 22 is, I think it's 6 and 16. 6 and 16. And because the product should be positive, it means both numbers should be negative. How do I split the middle term? That will be 12x squared. Instead of writing 22 there, you write it minus 6x minus 16x plus 8. That is equal to 0. Upon grouping them in 2, you will have, take this 2 here and take this 2 at the year. What is common factor between 12x squared and 6x? It is 6x. Take 6x out. You remain with 2x here, minus 1, minus, what is common between 16x and 8? It is 8. Take 8 out here. You will have 2x minus 1. This is equal to 0. 2x minus 1, 2x minus 1, it's common. Take it out. 2x minus 1. And the second factor should be 6x minus 8. 6x minus 8 is equal to 0. Again, for the product of any two numbers to be 0, either one or both numbers should be equal to 0. That's, I'm rubbing here. That's either 2x minus 1 is equal to 0, 2x minus 1 is equal to 0, of which it will give us 2x is equal to 1. Upon dividing by 2 throughout, you will have x is equal to 1 over 2. Also, 6x minus 8 should be equal to 0. That is 6x minus 8. This also is equal to 0. Take 8 on the other side. You have 6x is equal to 8. Upon dividing by 6 throughout, you'll have here by 6 and here by 6. So x is equal to 80 over 6, which can be simplified by 2. That is equal to 4 over 3. 4 over 3. Those are the two values of x. Therefore, x is equal to a half, or x is equal to 4/3. All right, are we together? Have you seen it on how you can solve when the middle term, the coefficient of the middle term is negative? But also, you can have the constant term which is negative. Let us have a look and discuss together another example whose constant term is negative. Grabbing this one here. Oh, example number 2. In example number 2, we shall see how to solve a quadratic equation whose constant term is negative. We have this example number 2 here. Let's say we have solved the equation. Solve the equation 2x squared plus x minus 10 is equal to 0. Solution to this one. Our solving here should involve splitting the middle term. The challenge here, our middle term has coefficient 1. I don't know how 1 can be splitted. But bear in mind that we need two terms whose sum should be equal to the coefficient of the middle term, that is 1, and whose product should be equal to, take this times that one, whose product should be equal to 2 times negative 10, that is negative 20. Now, as you can see here, I want to split this coefficient of the middle term, that I get 2 numbers. If you start thinking of this somewhere, it is difficult. I told you the best and simplest, or the best and convenient way of getting those 2 numbers is by finding the factors of 20. That is, 20, you know that, can be written as 1 times 20 itself. 20 can be written as 2 times 10. 20 can also be written as 4 times 5. There is no other 2 numbers whose product is 20. It's only those 3 pairs there. Now, it is only 1 pair whose sum, mind you, when we are talking of sum, we can sum up the positive numbers, or we can sum up the negative numbers. Or we can sum up when one is the positive, the other is negative. Now, 1 in 20, in whatever the case, cannot give you 1. Either by putting 1 is negative, it cannot give you 1. Also, 2 and 10, in whatever the case, cannot give you 1. It is only 4 and 5 whose summation, by giving one of the numbers negative, can give you 1. Now, x here, our middle term now can be written in terms of 4 and 5. That is 2x squared minus 4x plus 5x minus 10 is equal to 0. Now here, this doesn't matter on their position. You can even start with 5x followed by minus 4x, or as I have written it here. Now, upon grouping them in 2x squared and 4x, their common factor here, it is 2x. Take 2x out. You remain with x minus 2 brackets plus, common between 5x and 10 is 5. Take 5 out here. You will have again x minus 2 is equal to 0. X minus 2 is common. It can be written as 1 factor. 2x plus 5, that is our second factor. 2x plus 5, this is equal to 0. As I said before, for the product of 2 numbers to be 0, either one of the number must be 0, or all of the number should be 0. So here, that means x minus 2 should be equal to 0, of which this will give us x is equal to 2, or 2x plus 5 should be equal to 0. 2x should be equal to negative 5 upon dividing by 2 throughout. 2 and here 2, you will have x. You will have x is equal to 5 over 2, negative 5 over 2. Therefore, our x is equal to 2, or x is equal to negative 5 over 2. That's how you can solve the quadratic equation with the constant term negative. The last but not least, not only the middle term and the constant term, you can have the first term, which bears x squared, negative. Let us see it. let us see this one here. This is example number 3. Number 3. That solve the equation of the quadratic given that negative 2x plus 7x, negative 2x square plus 7x minus 6 is equal to 0. Is equal to 0. The best thing to do here, you can proceed as it is, but the best thing is that you can get rid of the negative. How do you get rid of the negative from the first term? The negative from the first term can be omitted or can be, it can be eliminated here by multiplying throughout by negative. If I multiply throughout this equation here by negative, the first term will be 2x squared minus 7x. Whenever there is minus, it becomes plus 6 is equal to 0. Then continue as usual. Continue as usual. Now, here, two numbers whose sum is 7 negative and whose product is 2 times 6, that is 12. Already you have known how to find the pair of numbers whose sum is this one here and whose product is this one here. You use the factor of the product. That is 12, 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. If you look on the 3 pairs, the one which can give you 7, it is only 3 and 4. And because the product is positive and this is negative, both numbers should be negative. So this one here should be written as 2x squared minus 3x minus 4x plus 6 is equal to 0. Group them in 2. What is common between 2x and 3x? It is only x. Take x out. 2x minus 3 minus, what is common between 4x and 6? It is 2. That is 2x plus minus 3, because there is a minus here. Minus 3 is equal to 0. As usual. 2x minus 3, x minus 2 is equal to 0. Either 2x minus 3 is equal to 0, or x minus 2 is equal to 0. Is equal to 0. Upon solving this one here, you will have 2x minus 3. 2x is equal to 3. Divided by 2, x is equal to 3 over 2. Or x minus 2 is equal to 0, of which x is equal to 2. Therefore, our x is equal to 3 over 2, or our x is equal to 2. That's how the quadratic equations can be solved by splitting the middle term. Right? Now, I'm sure if I give you some questions, you will be able to attempt them properly, whether they bear positive coefficients or negative coefficients. Can you? Let us try these questions. Here are the 3 questions. At your own time, you will have to try to attempt these questions so they will give you some practice on what we have just discussed here. But at the meantime, let us continue with another type of quadratic equations. These quadratic equations leading to the difference of 2 squares. When you were doing the previous topic, you discussed about what is the difference of 2 squares. An expression of the form x squared minus cx square is known as the difference of 2 squares. As you can see, this is the square and this is the square. Here there is a minus sign, which is the difference. So this kind of an expression, we call it the difference of 2 squares. Now, its equation, if you want to solve an equation which involves a part of difference of 2 squares, what you will have to do, first you will have to rewrite this difference of 2 squares in the form of x minus c brackets x plus c. You know it from the previous topic. Let us see an example which can be solved by using the concept of difference of 2 squares. Here, write example 1. Example 1 here. Solve the quadratic, solve the equation x squared minus 9 is equal to 0. I told you, a quadratic square is characterized by having this term here. Because this square is there, this is a quadratic, it's a quadratic equation. But as long as this can be written, this 9 here can be written in power form to the exponent of 2, then here, solution, the x squared minus 9, this 9 here can be written in power form to base 2 as 3 power what? 3 power 2. So instead of writing x power 2 minus 9, this can be written as x squared minus 3 power 2. This is equal to 0. Here, it is the difference of 2 square. The difference of 2 square can be factorized in this form here. So, upon writing this expression in this form here, you will have x minus 3, x plus 3 is equal to 0. As usual, either one of these two numbers or both should be equal to 0 to get the product 0. So, x minus 3 is equal to 0, of which x is equal to 3, or the second factor here, x plus 3 is equal to 0, of which x is equal to negative 3. Therefore, our solution set x is equal to 3 or x is equal to negative 3. That's how a difference of 2, a quadratic equation leading to the difference of 2 square can be solved, leading to the difference of 2 square. You will not be given it directly as it is here. But see it, can I write this equation in the difference of 2 square? That will be your activity. You will not, in most cases, you won't be given directly like this one here. No. You'll be given in a form that you have to work out so that you can write it in the form of difference of 2 square. We can see one more example. One more example here. Example 2. Example 2. Solve the equation. We have 9x squared minus 4. 9x squared minus 4 is equal to 0. The question which you have to ask yourself, this is a quadratic equation. It cannot involve splitting the middle term. It cannot involve the one with no constant there. But can I write this expression, this part of the expression, in the form of x squared minus c squared? See it. You have x squared here, but I have 9. Can I write 9 in power form? 2 power 2. Yes, that will be 3 power 2. Can I write this 4 in power form? Yes. This here can be written solution as 3 power 2 x power 2 minus 2 power 2 is equal to 0. Upon writing this with a single exponent, this has got power 2, this has got power 2, this can be written as 3x brackets power 2 minus 2 square is equal to 0. Now already I have written it in this form, which we call it the difference of 2 square. Factorization of difference of 2 square, it is here. So this one here will lead us to 3x minus 2 and 3x plus 2, that is equal to 0, of which 3x minus 2 is equal to 0, 3x is equal to 2. Upon dividing, see it, I want to continue somewhere here. Here, I think you are seeing it. Divide that one by 3 throughout. You will have x is equal to 2 over 3. That's the first one. The second one here, 3x plus 2 is equal to 0. 3x plus 2 is equal to 0, of which 3x is equal to negative 2. Divided by 2 throughout, you will have x is equal to negative 2 over 3. Therefore, our value of x is equal to 2 over 3, 2 over 3, 2 over 3, or x is equal to negative 2 over 3. That is what we call quadratic equations leading to the difference of 2 square. The last but not least, I can do it faster. The quadratic equations which leads to the perfect square. Perfect square. I'm rubbing here. I won't take much time. Quadratic equations, perfect square quadratic equations, or quadratic equations leading of perfect square. Quadratic equations of perfect square. Perfect square. I'll just give you an example here. Just one example, it's enough, because the way of solving this one is the same as the way of solving the other one. Let's say you are given, solve the equation, x squared plus 6x plus 9 is equal to 0. Split the middle term. Two numbers whose sum is what? Coefficient of the middle term. That is 6. And the whose product, it's 9. 1 times 9, it's 9. Can you give me those two numbers? 3 and 3. So this 6 here can be written as x squared plus 3x plus 3x plus 9 is equal to 0. What is common here? X. Take x out. X plus 3 plus. What is common in 3x and 9? That is 3x plus 3. That is equal to 0. So x plus 3 is equal to 0. So x plus 3 is equal to 0, of which x is equal to negative 3, or x plus 3 is equal to 0, of which x is equal to negative 3. You can see that the perfect square gives the same answer. That if you factorize, you will get two factors which are identical. A quadratic equation which by factorizing gives you two factors which are identical, we call it a perfect square. So that's all what we have to learn today, to discuss today. We have seen how to solve quadratic equations with the negative coefficients. We have seen how to solve quadratic equations leading to the difference of two squares, and how to solve quadratic equations which leads us to the perfect square. In your textbook here, this is the textbook written by Tanzania Institute of Education, book 2. There are several questions. Which we are giving you here is just a guide. Very minor, fairly few. But if you want to be smart on what we've been discussing here, take your time at your home. Take this book or any other reference book. You will find several questions based on what we have discussed here. Upon attempting them with the help of your relatives around you, you would be able to master this subject. Until then, I'm your teacher, Pascal Titus Majebele.
Let's study, be educated, elimu ni kazi. Elimu ni kazi. Let's study.